Hello students, today we will study about adaptation. What is adaptation? Adaptation may be defined as the characteristics of living forms to develop over a period of time certain morphological, anatomical, physiological and ecological features which enable them to survive and reproduce within the limits of a particular environment. Example, fish, whales, aquatic plants are adapted to live in water, birds and bats in air, and insects, camels in deserts. First, we will talking about aquatic adaptation. Aquatic adaptations are shown by those organisms that live in water. Various water bodies are ponds, lakes, rivers, streams, and oceans. The abiotic factors that organisms experience in water are the availability of light and oxygen, resistance to movement, salt concentration, and so on. First, we will study about aquatic adaptations in plants. Hydrophytic plants. Hydro means water and the phytic term is used for plant. So hydrophytic plants are those plants which live in water. They may be fully or partially submerged in water. Usually the bottom, but some plants may be fixed to the soil with the help of their roots. Hydrophytes may be further categorized into three groups. First, submerged plant. Second, floating plants. And third, rooted emergent hydrophytes. Hydrophytes are divided into first submerged plant, next floating plants, and rooted emergent hydrophytes. First, submerged plant. Submerged floating plants are completely submerged in water but not anchored in the mud. For example, Utricularia. Now, floating plants. Floating plants are not rooted below. They float freely on the surface of water. For example, trapa. In floating plants, their leaf-rooted plants are anchored at the bottom, but their leaves float on the surface of water. For example, Marsilia. Next, rooted emergent hydrophytes. These plants grow in shallow water and their shoots extend above the surface of water, fully or partially. For example, ranunculus. Now, the characteristics of hydrophytes. Roots may be absent. For example, hydrilla, and the xylem are not well developed because they live in a water. Root caps are replaced by root pockets. Stems are weak. The conductive tissue, xylem and phloem are also poorly developed. And the submerged plants have no stomata. The submerged leaves are either ribbon-like or finely dissected. For example, Vallisneria. Floating leaves are generally large, broad and thick. The submerged leaves of ranunculus plants are very much dissected to offer least resistance in water, while the leaves that are on the surface of water are less dissected. Plants are dull, pale green in color to absorb maximum of light falling on them. In the plants having hue disc like a circular leaves that float on the surface of water like giant water lily, which has got the largest leaves and have oily covering over the surface of leaves that makes it waterproof and also protects it against wetting or decaying in water. Stomata are present on the upper surface of leaves only. There are number of air spaces or cavities in the stem of aquatic plants which help them in buoyancy and thus keep the plant stay up in water. Some plants and animals live in fresh water while others are seen in seawater. Organisms living in a particular habitat are adapted only for that habitat. Organisms get their mineral requirements from the type of water in which they live. That is why plants occurring in fresh water are not seen in seawater. Now, aquatic adaptation in animals. These adaptations are shown by those animals which live in water. That is, water is their home or habitat. Animals may live in water primarily or they have shifted to water habitat later on as a secondary adaptation. According these animals show the following modifications. First, they have a streamlined body that helps in swimming in water. For example, fish. A streamlined body gives least resistance to swim in water. Locomotion is either by webbed feet, for example, ducks, frogs, or by fins, for example, fish. The fins at the sides helps in acquiring speed and in changing direction. Now, respirations occur with the help of gills. For example, fish. Gills are the organ that help to animal to get oxygen from water. Some fish like bony fish have air bladder as a hydrostatic organ. Some fish and water insects carry air bladder in their bodies that help in providing the buoyancy to the animal in water. Hair and skin glands like sweat and oil glands are absent, for example in whales.